everyone, I'm here for another interview with you today. Today I'm joined with another Stranraer legend. He's well known about Stranraer, and it is Keith Knox. You started your career at Lochrain Boys Club. What was your memories from that time?
Morning Ryan, thanks very much for inviting me along to do a question and answer session with you. Looking forward to it. So we'll get started with the first question regarding my time at Lochrain. It was a really enjoyable time for me at Lochrain. It was the start of a long career for me, set me up in the right frame of mind regarding training and the importance of turning up to train, which was a big part of me growing up and me playing, because fitness was a big thing for me. But to start off at a young age at Lochrain, at the Westfruch with Tom McBride, installed it into the winning mentality. That second best wasn't good enough, and that set me up for my career of playing. That always wanted to win, but the important thing is that they looked after you. Training was excellent at the Westfruch. Big area, coldest place ever in winter time, but it was certainly a good area to go and train with. And Tom McBride done really well for a lot of local players. At the time it was myself, Colin Calderwood, that went on and played at a higher level, and you know Colin, the career he went and had, and I think a lot of that again we were down to Lochrain, the people that coached us. So it was really good, really important thing for me to get that learning experience of turning up and then going and playing at big games. And it wasn't just local games, it was games all over the country. At the time as well, we went to Germany, a trip to Germany. First time I think I'd been ever out of Scotland. And we went to Germany and played in a tournament in Germany, and again done really well. So everywhere Lochrain went, it was pressure on you to do well, but it was good pressure. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and as I say, playing with the likes of Colin, Tommy Mann and players like Paul McDivitt in goals, really good goalkeeper at that age. But as I say, at that age group that played, there was only myself and Colin that went on to play at the highest level. But it was a great learning curve for us. Learned an awful lot from the importance of training and turning up. And we tried to do a bit of coaching with the Millennium. That's what you try to tell them, the importance of turning up for your training and learning as much as you possibly can. When you're young like that, you don't realise the importance of taking in what the coaches try and tell you. I know sometimes you think you know better than them, but you've got to learn from that.
You made your debut for Stranraer in 1984. How did it feel?
Next question regarding my debut for Stranraer, Ryan. I was playing in a reserve game at Queen of the South, and the manager at the time, Davy Snedden, the first team manager, decided to come down and watch the game down at Palmerston. Done really well in the game, and he asked me to come along to join in with the first team after that. I'm not 100% sure what my first game was, but at that time it was really difficult to get into the first team for a local player. It was hard. It was the reserves basically against the first team. It was like two different parts of the club, because there was the resentment of local players at the time. It's been like that for a long time, that local players never really seemed to get a chance in the first team, and it was hard, and everybody had a bit of resentment about the first team, because you were a local player, and as I say, you found it hard to break into the first team. But fortunately for me, I got the wee break and played really well in that game that Davy Snedden, the manager, came and seen me play in. So from then on, I was involved in the first team. But again, I'm not 100% sure that the game I played, my memory's not as good as what it used to be, so I'm not 100% sure what the first game was. But at that time, there was a big difference in, as I say, the first team and the reserves. And because I was Stranraer based, I trained with the reserves, didn't go to the first team training at that time. So it was a case that I trained on a Tuesday and Thursday at Stranraer, and then went to a game on a Saturday. So it was really, you weren't mixing a great deal with the first team players. You were still training locally, at Stair Park out in the old car park, which was an experience and have for everybody or anybody that can remember the training in the old car park outside Stair Park. It's certainly toughened you up and made you harder, and that was what training was like with the reserves at that time. As I say, even though I played in the first team, I was training with the reserves, and they certainly let you know that they were playing reserve games and you were playing the first team, because training was very competitive. So yeah, that's what you learn to look after yourself, and that's where the toughness come in with my fitness wise and being able to look after yourself, because at the training, as I say, it was very competitive. It was a case if you didn't stand up for yourself, then you wouldn't be involved. You'd be standing at the sidelines, and that was a good upbringing for me and a learning process. But it was at that time with the first team, it was very difficult. As I say, David Snedden was the manager, but there was 4 different managers in the first 6 years that I was at the club. There was nobody really there for any length of time, so it was chopping and changing. And again, at the time, the club were the second division. We weren't doing really well at all. We were struggling at the bottom of the table every year, so that made it very, very difficult. It was hard. The players, as I say, because I wasn't training with the first team, you never really got to know the first team. It was just a case you turned up on a Saturday and played the game and then left straight after it, because you went to games with the committee. The committee took the cars to the games, or you met up in Glasgow at the Buchanan Street bus station to get transferred to the games wherever you were playing. But if you're in around the Glasgow area, then you just took the car. So you never really mixed that much with them. So you never got to know the players as much as what I did on the second time I was back at the club. I remember one of the times we were playing a Scottish Cup tie in my first season, working in the post office, and on the Monday night the committee said they were leaving at 9 o'clock or something in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, because you used to go to Glasgow or something to eat and then go on to the games. And as I said, David Snedden was the manager. I said I was struggling to get away from my work at the time. And I said to the committee, they said, we're leaving at 8 o'clock. I said, I couldn't make 8 o'clock. So they decided to tell the manager that I wouldn't be at the game. So my father-in-law drove me through to the game at Innerleithen, turned up, went into the dressing room, and David Snedden says to me, he says, I thought you weren't coming. I says, no, I never said I wasn't coming. The committee said I wasn't, I couldn't make the time of leaving at Stranraer, but I says, I never said I wouldn't make the game. So he had to change the team round about to put me back into the team. So these are the strange things that happened at that time with the club. It was strange, and it was strange for me because being part of the team spirit was a big thing for me throughout my career, especially after I left Stranraer and then went to Clyde and then came back. The team spirit and mixing with players, and that was a big part of it. But again, as I say, I thoroughly enjoyed it, even though I didn't mix with them as much, but I still enjoyed playing. And as I say, if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't have went on and had the career I had. Even as I say, under different managers. Eventually John Clark came in, he was here for 6 months, and asked me, when he left and went to Clyde, he asked me if I wanted to move to Clyde, but it took really 2 years to get a deal done, because we couldn't get, he wanted me to move from Stranraer, which at the time I wasn't prepared to do. So I said no, I wouldn't be willing to do it. I would be willing to travel, but he said no, I had to move. So it took him 2 years to actually decide, right, we'll agree to you travelling up and training on a Thursday night or a Tuesday night and playing a game on a Saturday. So it eventually took 2 years before that deal was done. It must be the longest deal ever to get done. But as I say, if it wasn't for the grooming at Stranraer and learning from that, and learning from the reserve training and mixing in that, because I still had to train on either a Tuesday or Thursday with the reserves, even when I moved to Clyde. So, but as I say, that struggling, as I say, to tell you teams and who I made my debut against, as I say, the memories know that good. There was a lot of different games and parts of that I didn't get involved in, and some of the players that I played with. John Taylor, the first time John Taylor seen me playing was at a game at Tarf. John came down and he said he'd heard about Keith Knox and that he was going to be coming and playing with the first team, and he came down and played, seen me at Tarf, and I think we were about 5 stone at that time. I've put on a bit more weight than that, but I was a skinny wee thing, and he said that didn't think there was any chance that I would ever go and play in the first team solely because of my size, but he was proved wrong, and he said that later on. But as I say, there wasn't a lot of players that I really mixed with at that time. Probably Joe McCaig, Tom Filson were two boys we signed from up in Ayrshire. They were two that I got quite friendly with and mixed more say with them, and I've spoke to them a few years ago. Was the last time I spoke to Tom Filson, who came down to Stranraer, him and his wife for a weekend, and I spoke to him and had a few drinks with them then, but don't really speak to a lot more of them because, as I say, we didn't really mix that much.
You played some big games for Stranraer over the years. Is there any memories that stand out?
Big games for Stranraer, really there was, in the first 6 years I was at Stranraer, there wasn't really many big games for us at all, apart from the very last year, 1988, 87-88 season. We played Celtic in the Scottish Cup at Parkhead. At that time, we were, as I said earlier, a really poor team. We weren't good. We were struggling at the bottom of the old second division. Possibly one of the worst teams in Scottish football at that time. Well, according to league tables anyway. But we played Celtic top of the league. Vast difference between the two clubs. We went to Parkhead, and everybody expecting us to get a really big doing. Some supporters, they went fully backed us, when a big crowd went, and the game we played really well, exceptionally well for as I say, with the position we were in the league. We went there and we beat 1-0, but I think everybody knows the situation during the game. We played really well, but it's unfortunate. Seems to be whenever I play Celtic that something happens to me. I get caught early on in the game. I think it was after about 10 minutes. Lex Bailey caught me with an elbow and had to go off and get stitched. While I was off getting stitched, Frank McAvenny scored the only goal of the game, made it 1-0. Came back on, played really well. As I say, as a team, we came in at half time 1-0 down. Pleased with how we played. Went out in the second half and we played again. Some of the stuff we played was excellent. As I say, their lead position, you wouldn't believe where we were. But we went there, and as I say, with the second half, one of the best chance we had in the game, I get brought down for a penalty with Paddy Bonner, and of course everybody knows poor Bruce Cleland stepped up to take the penalty and unfortunately missed. But even after that, we still created another great chance after that, and Bruce Cleland again, open goals, and hits it over the bar, a crossbar, and goes over. But we played great stuff that day, and Billy McNeil said after it and later on in the season, because it was Celtic's centenary year, that the hardest game they had that season, including all the games against Rangers and all the different clubs, that the Stranraer Scottish Cup game that year was the hardest game they had. Even the Celtic supporters applauded us off the park, and they showed the appreciation of how well we played. And I think at that time, the club, if we'd managed to get a replay out of it, financial wise as well, how much money the club would generate. But that was a big game for me, and that would be the first really big game. And then probably the most important game that I played for the club was when we won the league, and when I came back from Clyde, 97-98. And ironically, the game that we won the league was away at Clyde, the last game of the season, when we won 1-0. That was a great day for us, because when I returned, I was captain, and we struggled early on in the season, but we went there and we eventually won the league, and it was a great day. It was a great experience for me as a local player to be captain and to win the league. It was really a proud moment for me. So that was one of the other ones, and then again another Scottish Cup tie against Celtic. Again, this is the second spell at Stranraer. I think it was 2000, 2001 we played Celtic at Stair Park live in Sky, and again you're playing against some great players. Henrik Larsson played, and again my luck again. I get Raymond Vega decided just to stand on my head. Again, I had to go off and this time I didn't get stitches done at that time. I got them done later on, but I got bandaged up. Another Basil Fawlty moment. That's twice I've had the Basil Fawlty moments, but again we played really well. We scored a goal. Would it be 4-1? But we scored a goal. But again, unfortunately, I scored a goal for Celtic. Probably the only game that Henrik Larsson hasn't scored in. I have to go and score in that game for Celtic. But again, it was another big day for us. That's probably the three biggest moments for me as a Stranraer player. Thank you.
It's Lennon to whip this in, and Ramon Vega's on the end of it, and it's bundled in by Valharan, and Celtic go 1-0 up.
Once again, it's the aerial ability of Vega here that proves costly for Stranraer. Once again, they don't have a choice here. They have to defend that deep. Great ball across the face of the goal by Vega. And Valharan brave enough to stick his head in where he knows it's going to get kicked here. And I think he does take a sore one. Good ball in. Vega at his very best at the back post.
Jos Valharan, so effective at the back for Celtic this season, and often quite effective up the... So Stranraer temporarily down to 10 men, with Keith Knox getting patched up. Here's Henrik Larsson, and Jackie McNamara could be in here, and he is! McNamara clinically claims Celtic's second early in the second half.
That's a terrific finish from Jackie McNamara. Gets himself forward in support here, well held up there by Henrik Larsson, waiting in the supporting run, provided by Jackie McNamara. Terrific finish there from the midfield player. And again, getting back to what I said about Neil Lennon, with Neil Lennon in the team, both McNamara and Thompson know they can go forward, know they've got a bit of security behind them. And Jackie McNamara gets his reward there, and it's a long, long way back for Stranraer now.
So we'll, of course, point to the fact that Thompson, Sutton, all those little layoffs again for Henrik Larsson. He can't get a glimpse of goal. Bobby Petter did though. Oh, it's an own goal from Knox. Oh, it gets even worse for him. What a shame for Keith Knox. Celtic 3-0 up.
To be fair, he's under real pressure. It's a marvellous ball in from Bobby Petter. All started by Chris Sutton. Had the body strength to win it, but that's a great ball in from Petter. And when goal defenders are running towards their own goal, that's always liable to happen. Good early ball in from Petter.
Well, he now wishes he never came back on. Well, Moravcik could be in here. He's on his own, although Lennon is arriving. Moravcik goes for goal himself. Oh, and it's squeezed past Mark Nagio and in. And Celtic have a fourth through Lubomir Moravcik.
Yeah, well, I mean, he can take it on either side. He's so good with either foot. Quite happy to go onto his left side here. And Mark McGill won't be happy with that. He said a good night, the Stranraer keeper. Gets something on this, gets something of his right hand onto it, but just not enough.
Ninth of the season for Moravcik, and one to forget for Mark McGeown.
You're known as a legend for Clyde and Stranraer. How does it feel getting appreciated by both teams?
I think your next question is a very good one. Being a Clyde legend and a Stranraer legend, to be classed a legend at two different clubs has been a great honour, especially as I say for the Stranraer one, as well as being a local boy to be classed as a legend. It's great. It's a great honour to be classed as that. You start off when you're a young boy, you always look who you want to play for, and I always said I wanted to play for Stranraer. And we've been fortunate enough that I did get the opportunity to play, and over the two periods, 6 years the first time and then 4 years the second time I was back at Stranraer, and then to be captain, win the league. So that was a great honour to be that, and I've been reading up and people have said that the 301 games I think it was that's played for Stranraer. Some people say it's a record. I'm not 100% sure whether it's a club record or not. So it was, but as I say, thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. Times were hard sometimes, but being a local boy and a postman, you're out and about and you're seeing people, the supporters all the time. So it's when the good times it's really good, and sometimes when it's hard and things are not going well, and you have to face up to everybody the next working day when you're meeting all the supporters. But as I say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a great honour to be classed as a legend. And the same with Clyde. When I moved to Clyde in '88, I never thought it would be there that length of time, just short of 10 years. And again, appearances was over the 9.5 years, and 356 league appearances for them. Over that time, there was roughly 400 league games I played. 400 league games that was available to play. I played in 356 of them. So over that 9.5 year period, I only missed 40 games over that period, which shows you I was fortunate enough that I managed to stay away from injury. But to go to Clyde and being going there as a stranger and to end up and being there that length of time and class as a legend there, it was a great honour to be that as well. I think, I'm not saying it feels better, but you're going there and it's new supporters and it's completely different. And again, I think it holds quite a few records up there as well. That the Player of the Year this year was done, and they said that I held the record for winning the Player of the Year 3 years in a trot, which David Goodwill equalled this year, and that was a club record as well. Also managed to get a testimonial game, the testimonial season with Clyde. Unfortunately played that when I was back at Stranraer. I'd signed for Stranraer, but the game was cancelled, and it didn't happen to later on in that year when I was back playing for Stranraer. Again, it was the only player at Clyde in their history that they've had a testimonial game. They've had dinners, but never had a game, so that was special as well. But over the two clubs, and over 600 games for the two clubs, they're a big part of my life, the two of them. And they mean a great deal to us. So thanks again, Ryan.
You have touched upon winning the second division in 97-98. How did it feel?
The league winning season 97-98, Ryan, was a really important year for me, coming back as an ex-player, going back to hometown club. A lot to thank Carmel Money for bringing me back and then making me captain when I came back as well. But that season was a great season, especially when we think how we played at the start of the season. Looking back, we had a great team spirit. The team spirit was excellent, with some really good team bonding sessions. Whether people say that's good now or not, the social life we had with that team was unbelievable. I think I had 10 or 11 children over that period of time. Every weekend there was the players would stay down, they would say they were wetting my baby's head and every excuse under the sun to have a night out in Stranraer, which was a big part of that squad at that time, that they were a big part of the community. A lot of people got to know them, but it was a tremendous achievement, especially when we look back at that season. When I was looking out at the 7th of February, we were sitting about 3rd or 4th bottom of the league. We were 16 points behind Clydebank at the top of the league with 16 games to go. So and we went from that 7th of February right to the end of the season. We won 12 and lost 3 games in that final period. As I say, we were 16 points behind Clydebank. We remember how the season ended. We played, I think it was Queen of the South, third last game of the season away, and we lost to Queen of the South, and we thought that was a big chance over or winning the league. But fortunately we played Livingston the second last game of the season, and I think Livingston took us a bit lightly. They changed their team, they rested a couple of players for their last home game, and it backfired on them when we beat them 2-0. But it was still in their hands, in Clydebank's hands, going into the last game of the season. And as I said earlier, the last game of the season was Clyde at Broadwood, which for me was a great experience going back there after the 9.5, 10 years that was there. And we needed to win the game, and hopefully other results went for us. And fortunate enough, Gordon Young scored late on in the game to put us 1-0 up. And we still didn't know at that time whether we had won the league or not. We were relying on Clydebank and Livingston results coming through. Even when the game finished, we still didn't know. Their games were later kicking off, and it was a few minutes after that we found out that we'd won the league. Livingston get beat and Clydebank had dropped points, so we'd went and won the league. But as I say, from the 7th of February right through to the end of the season, we got stronger, and that was all through the training we had with Jim Denny and Campbell Money. Jim Denny's training was probably the hardest training I'd ever done. When I came back and we started training with Jim. Jim's runs and whatever we were doing were crazy numbers. His counting to 10 was completely different from my counting to 10. And the running and the fitness levels was sky high. We had some really good players. I mean, Tom Black at left back was an excellent player. And some of the players, Duncan George, Ian McCauley in the middle of the park, Paul Kinnaird should have had a lot better career than he had. But some great players, and we, as I say, we bonded as a team, and that was the important thing. And Campbell was, I was a bit surprised when I came back with Campbell. Not criticising goalkeepers, but you're always like that with goalkeepers. Right, they don't know much about the game. They're usually the nutters in your team. But Campbell, when I came in, Campbell was, everything he done was geared up to getting a win on the Saturday. He was very organised. Had you set up to what he wanted you to play, how you wanted to play, and the people you were playing against. And that surprised me, but it was great at the time when I came back. But for that season, we were, as I said, everybody wrote us off in that season, but we came back, and as I say, the team spirit was excellent. Thank you.
You've scored 51 goals. What's your best goal?
Best goal scored, Ryan. That's a tough one. I didn't score that many, 51 by the looks of the records, but a majority of them weren't goal of the season material, apart from probably one that I scored when we shared at Firhill with Partick Thistle. I scored a goal against Falkirk from roughly about 30 yards against Gordon Marshall, who went on to play for Celtic. I had a shot previously about 5 minutes before it, and I think it was a dam busters. It was a daisy cutter bouncing up in, and he caught it quite easily. But the next one, as I say, was roughly about 30 yards out and into the top corner. I didn't score many of them in my career, but every one of them special. When you score, it doesn't matter what level you play at. To score goals is always good. And as I say, especially with myself, as I say, I've got a bit older and moved further back, didn't play as far forward as what I'd done earlier on in my career. And also scored probably one of my better goals as well was when I played a reserve game again, Queen of the South, which is always nicer. The goalkeeper kicked the ball out to the halfway line and I volleyed it straight over the top of his head. But again, that's reserve football. But as I say, the senior one was the one against Falkirk. Cheers, Ryan.
Who's the best played against and why?
Ryan, the best players I played against, I've been fortunate enough to play against a lot of good players, at all different levels, what you class as good players and what level you play at. And Ken Eady at Clydebank was probably at lower level as good a striker as anybody should have played at a higher level. He was a really good player. But you go and look at when you play against the likes of Rangers, Celtic. I was fortunate enough to play against the really good Rangers team when Graham Souness was there. We played a game at Firhill. You're playing against Butcher, Wilkins. Ian Durant at the time was probably as good a Scottish player going about for a long time until he had that bad injury. Mark Walters, Mark Haitley, players like that. And then, as I said, fortunate enough to play against Larson, McAvenny, and players like that. They were all top players. at them big clubs, and as I say, it was great to play against it, and I was fortunate enough as well against Rangers in a Scottish Cup tie at Broadwood. Again, it was shown live in Sky. Played against Loudrop Gascoigne, and Loudrop was, you see him on the television, you watch him and you think pace-wise he's not the quickest. Played against him and I thought I was quite quick and pacey and fit, but he would take the ball up to you and take it by you, and you say, right, I've caught him, and within the space of 2 or 3 yards he was gone. He was really good, and you see the likes of Gascoigne and the ability that he had at, as I say, playing in the middle of the park. He just strolled through games, and great ability. But probably the best player I would say I played against was the late Davy Cooper. Played against him when he was after he left Rangers, went and played for Motherwell. We played him again. It was a Scottish Cup tie. We played against him, and Davy played, and the team talked before the game. John Clark was the manager, and we said about Davy Cooper, right, how are we going to play against him? And he says, no, he says he's past his best, that we don't need to worry about him. Come in at half time, I think 5-0 down. Davy Cooper made the 5 goals and totally destroyed us. He was miles and miles ahead of anything on the park, and just made the game look so easy. And end up we could beat 7-1. But got to say, even at that stage when he'd left Rangers, that Davy Cooper was still a great player, and I've got to say that probably playing against him at that time when you think his career's over or getting near the end, he was unbelievable to play against. So I would have to say Davy Cooper would probably be the best player I played against, because, as I say, solely the ability, his left foot. He wasn't maybe the quickest player in the world, but his ability with that left foot was unbelievable. And as I say, he totally destroyed us that day, and gave us a big lesson. And we said that after the game, I think we got our tactics wrong in that, and John Clark did agree that we didn't try and stop him. But I would say Davy Cooper. Okay.
What's the best 1 to 11 players you've played with?
Ryan, my best 1 to 11 that I played with, it was very difficult. I played with a lot of really good players, so this was quite a difficult one to pick. There might be some names in here that some people will not know, but start off with my goalkeeper. Was a young boy at Clyde when I was there, Scott Howie. Scott he'd just come into the team. He was a very young boy coming into the Clyde team under Alex Smith. Come in and done really well, and started off a good career, and we ended up, we sold him to Norris for £300,000. But a lot of people might know Scott, but he was a really good goalkeeper at that age. A very young boy, and done really well, and looked as if he'd go and have a really good career. But unfortunately, I think a few injuries caught up with him. But as I say, he started off playing with us when he was only a young boy, but he was a really top draw goalkeeper at that age. My right back would be a player, Ross McFarland. Ross McFarland played with me at Clyde. When I first went there, Ross was the right back, and the grumpiest player I think I ever played with, but a really top professional. He played a lot of games for Clyde, but I don't think he ever scored a goal. But he was a really top professional, liked to win, wanted to win. Every game was as if it was his last game, but he was a grumpy person, so he was on the park, but a lovely guy off it, but he was a really good player. So Ross McFarland would be my right back. My left back would be Tom Black. Tom Black, when I came to Stranraer, me and him played the opposite sides, but Tom his left foot was unbelievable. Strolled through games as if he looked as immaculate up when he finished the game as what he did at the start. He just strolled through it with his left peg. He set plays, free kicks, or his delivery with the ball. His left foot was excellent. So Tom was my left back. My 2 centre halves. My first one would be Jim Thompson, again Clyde, my big mate Jim. Excuse me. Jim came through Clyde when I was there as a centre half, a young boy. Big hen brown, big skinny boy with a big tight perm haircut. but Jim was a really, really good player. Should have went on and played at a lot higher level. Played with Queen of the South for a number of years. Played in the cup final for Queen of the South. Scored a goal against Rangers. But he was my big mate, and Big Jim was a really top player and should have went on and played at a higher level. My other centre half was Big Mark Campbell. Had a few players again at centre half, but Mark was really a big, strong centre half and played with him at Stranraer. And he came in quite a young boy and went on and played and made a good career for himself. But Mark was a big no-nonsense centre half. Just when the ball was there to go and win, that was his job. He would go and win it. As I say, it was a close run thing between him and a few other ones, Fraser Wright, but I went for Big Mark. In my midfield, I went for three in the middle of the park. Three players I would class as strong, aggressive, but also really good in the ball. And you were wanting players in there that was going to go and win the ball for you. And my first one would be Stevie Clark. Again, another boy that played with me. Well, no boy, he was a bit older than me at Clyde. Played with Hamilton when they beat Rangers. So he came to Clyde when I was there and played in the middle of the park. But to look at him, you would never think he was a football player. He was wee and he was quite, no saying dumpy, but just maybe slightly overweight. But ability-wise, again, he was really, really good. But a good battler in there, and I think that's what you need in the middle of the park. So it was Stevie Clark in there, along with Duncan George. When Duncan played at Stranraer with me, and Duncan would run through a big wall for you. A player you wanted on your team, no against you, because he was very, very strong in the tackle. But a lot of people didn't rate his ability, but I thought he was an excellent footballer, along with really going in and winning things for you and breaking things up and then getting on the ball and playing. And he was a big part of the team when we won the league in 97, 98. But a really, really good player. And as I say, I think he was maybe underrated because of his physicality when he went about, and there was no nonsense, but he could play. Another player was, maybe a lot of people don't know, maybe mostly his son, was like Gordon Wilde. We played against him when he played with East Stirling, and he was very, very aggressive. Again, there's three aggressive football players I've got in there, but a really good player. Came to Clyde, and again, I'd rather have him on my team than against me. But again, he was the same. He could play, a really good footballer. Went on and played with Kilmarnock, but again, he picked up a few injuries, and that kind of shortened his career. But at the time, I really rated him as a player, because of, as I say, he was physical but could play. And that was three midfield players that basically all similar, but good players to have in your team rather than against you. And up front, I went with three up front. Again, I played with a lot of good strikers. At Clyde, I was fortunate enough to play with Charlie Nicholas, George McCluskey, Frank McGarvey, and these top draw players. As I say, Charlie was there for a year, and ability-wise, it was unbelievable at that stage. But whether he took it as serious as what he really wanted to, but he was a really good player, and it was excellent. We played Dundee in the cup, and then we played Rangers in the cup, and played really, really well. But I've not went for him. There was another one Stevie Archibald played with Stevie Archibald at Clyde as well. And after he came back from Barcelona, he came back for a spell and played along with us. But I've not went for him. I've went for Frank McGarvey out of them. When we won the league in 92, 93 at Clyde, Frank came to Clyde from Queen of the South. He was player manager at Queen of the South and got sacked for Queen of the South, and he came and played for us halfway through the season. And he came in, and I would say he helped us immensely to win the league. Again, you look at him, you would never think he was a football player, but he you got the ball up to him and it stuck, and he bring other players into the game, and he was excellent for us. And as I say, a big part of the league winning team that year, and even though it was just for half the season. So I've went with him, along with another striker that played with me at Clyde, but we call him McGlashan, wee Dibble. That was his nickname, but he was the same. He was a grumpy wee player as well, but he was a good finisher, really good finisher. Finished top goal scorer, I think it was 3-4 years at the time I was at Clyde. Couldn't get that trophy off him at all as top goal scorer. But a great left foot, right foot were just standing on, but he was a good striker, a good finisher. So I went for him, and then I went for Paul Kinnaird on either wing or playing off the strikers. Paul Kinnaird at St Mirren won the league. When he wanted to play, he was miles ahead of everybody at that level. But you could see how frustrating he was for managers, and how his attitude, but his ability was second to none. But you just didn't know what Paul Kinnaird was turning up. But I took him because, as I say, you could see why. He's been on the fringes of the Dundee United team that won in Europe and things like that, but you could see that the ability that was there, that should have played at a higher level and a lot more games at a higher level than what he did. So Ryan, that was my 1 to 11. Thank you.
Not many people can say that they've played and managed their home team. Did you want to get into management?
Ryan, playing and managing St Mirren, and also whether I always wanted to be a manager, to say to that one is no. It's something that, while I was playing the majority of my playing career, it wasn't something that I was planning or intending to get involved in. The opportunities when I was at Clyde to go and do the coaching certificates that you need to get nowadays, or even then, to go and do them at Largs. But I was never a great fan of the Largs setup, and it was something that you heard everybody always used to say, the Largs Mafia, and I just felt it was something I didn't want to get involved in at the time. Alex Smith was the manager at Clyde and wanted me to go and do the coaching certificates then, but I refused to go and do it. I said no, I didn't want to do it. So it wasn't something that I'd set out and planned to go and do. Once I left Stennismuir to finish playing, I got offered to go to Wigton to be the manager at Wigton, which I accepted and went there, and it was fortunate that I went there and thoroughly enjoyed it. But I got the opportunity to come into St Mirren to do the under-17s just after, I think it was after about a year and a half at Wigton, and then to be in there, I was Jerry Breton and Derek Ferguson were the managers at St Mirren. I ended up getting involved in that a bit, and then Jerry left and Derek took over, and then I got involved, or asked to go in and help Derek. But that time, Derek had a friend that he wanted to bring in and get involved with him at St Mirren. Somebody had promised to bring him in if he got involved as a manager, as far as I'm led to believe. So he came in and was basically assistant to Derek. So I was just basically just helping along with training and just being involved and being about the club. And then, as I say, the unfortunate situation regarding the club financially, and Derek eventually leaving, and then I got offered to be the caretaker manager, and then taking over as the manager. And it was a very difficult time for the club, which made it very difficult for me coming in as a first job as a manager. It made it really difficult. But the club's situation was that they were just about out of business. There were days, weeks, I think, from basically being out of business because of the debt situation. So basically the first thing I had to do, well, basically we had no training facilities. We didn't even train because the situation with no money, and Derek's situation with the club, I think, we ended up we didn't have any training facilities. So we're coming in, trying to find training facilities where everywhere was taken up with other clubs, so there was nothing free to go and train. So you're struggling straight away to start your manager career, that you're looking for somewhere to train and you're starting from scratch. Or basically the first night's training, I had to sit down with all the players and basically tell them, look, this is the situation. The club is basically, if we keep continuing, we're going to be busting, going out of business. So basically, you're telling players that they're free to go. That's what I told them. Anybody that wanted to leave at that time was free to leave, because the club might not be in a situation to pay the wages. And that was hard. That was a difficult thing to do, to go in and tell, or basically you're asking players if they could leave the club and help the club out, be going and no being in the wage bill. So the start of my managerial career wasn't what you would call the best. So it wasn't, and that was through no fault of anybody. It was just that the club situation was that they'd overspent over the years and it come to a head. So that was the start of the managerial career, was getting rid of as many players as we possibly can, and that was hard, because you knew at that stage, by the time the end of the season come, that you were basically going to be left with nobody, because everybody would be wanting to go move on because of the situation regarding would they be able to pay wages. So the start of my career was very, very difficult and very hard and strange. That's what your first managerial job, that you were walking in there and telling players, sorry, but can you please leave? So that made it difficult. But from there, we went on and we brought in Stevie Aitken to come in and help. And we built what we felt was a strong squad of players, and we'd done okay. We got relegated that year, but we had to start again from next year. But you're starting from basically you've got a budget that the club can afford, which you've got to work hard to try and attract players to come to the club. Whereas before, when players were coming to Stranraer, they were getting offered good deals, and that softened the blow. Everybody's saying, "Oh, it's too far to travel to Stranraer. It's only 75 mile away, but it's too far to travel." So you were paying extra money to try and get these players to come in. So that was the end of that period of time. But we got a squad of players in that we felt that we could build on and try and get the club stable, and also trying to keep a team in the park that was capable are going to compete. And I think we've done that for a period of time. And then, as I say, it was always very difficult, because as a manager, what you're always going to do, if you're not a manager, going sharpen the chairman's door or the treasurer's door or the committee's door and saying, like, I need an extra £1,000 or £100 to go and try and bring a player in that you would think would try and help you, but the money just wasn't there. But it didn't stop me going sharpen the doors and still trying to get extra player money in to bring in extra players. But it was difficult. It was really hard, and as a local boy, as a player, it didn't. I don't want to get marred as much. If you get beat, you got a bit of a stick as a player, but it got different as a manager. It got harder. It was more. As a player, it was just you were part of 11 or a squad of 16, but you as a manager, it was solely your fault. It was your blame. You were to be blamed for everything that happened in the park, and that became harder when you started realising and you start when the team's struggling and things are going against you. That's when it becomes harder, and it becomes more personal. That some of the no matter when you're a player, you get abuse and you just accept it and you walk away. But sometimes when you're a manager, it become more personal, and some of the people you would meet after the game, or when I was at your work, people that some of the things they were shouting to you during the game was sometimes you felt it was too far. But every sport, the majority, everybody wanted to win, and nobody wanted to win more than me. But it got harder and harder because of the situation but our hands were tied. We couldn't even get players to come in because of the financial situation. But it's not an excuse here. It's a result-orientated business. That's, as a manager, you know you're going to get the sack at some stage, and that's what happened. And the club moved on, and I moved on. But as I say, it was difficult. But as a manager, it probably, I'm not saying it sickened me a bit. It was something that we went into at a stage that you went into the unknown, and it was difficult because of the situation regarding the club. Finances made it even harder. But as I say, I'm not making any excuses. I enjoyed it to a certain degree. In other parts, you don't. But again, you're in Stranraer, and you're that far away from the central belt to go and travel. You wanted to do things right by going and maybe watching games, watching players. But it was that difficult to do it. You're classed as part-time, but I said, and I think I said to some of the committee as well, you're no part-time as a manager. For me, being in Stranraer, to travel to Glasgow to go and watch a game, and if under 21 games were on, they were all on during the day. The majority of them didn't play at night. So it was difficult to try and go and look at players. You were getting advice for other people, but you wanted to go and look at players. There was even one midweek game, I drove from Stranraer to Berwick to watch Berwick playing because we had an important game against them, and I think it was the year we were pushing to get into the playoffs and win the league, and I went all the way through to Berwick to watch a midweek game just to see, because I wanted to try and do the thing right before we played. And it's what you'll be 4 or 5 hours there, 4 or 5 hours back driving, and these are the pressures as a staying in Stranraer, and that's through no fault of anybody else's but my own. The travelling that you have to do, and as I say, I felt at the time to be a manager at that level, your class is part-time, but you're basically doing full-time. If you want to try and do the job right, you need to be spending a lot more time than what you do. And as a player, the last thing in your mind is you go to training, you train for 2 hours, 2 nights a week, go to a game on a Saturday, and that's you finished. But as a manager, you don't do that. You've got to, there's a lot more things to it, and at the lower level, as I say, I went to Wigton, and then it was Threave, and a short period of time at Cretan, and to try and to get players to play now, it's so difficult. And I've a lot of respect for the managers in the lower leagues in the south of Scotland. I got my eyes opened how difficult it is for them with players who just basically, they've no respect for, some of them have no respect whatsoever for managers and coaches at that level. They turn up and play when they feel like playing, and if you don't play them the next week, when they don't turn up one week, they turn up the next week and they don't play, then they take it off and that's it, and then the 3 or 4 of their pals walk away with them. So that makes it difficult. But as I say, being manager of Stranraer was a good experience, but it was a hard experience. But it's difficult to say whether I say I enjoyed it, because, as I say, it was really, really hard. But I've done it, as I say, and I've no hard feelings towards the club at all. They've got to think what's best for them, but that's football. Cheers, Ryan.
What's the best memories as a manager?
Ryan, best moments as a manager, that is a really difficult one for me, because it was a hard time, as I said previously. But probably the best moments would be getting to the playoffs, and unfortunately we didn't win the playoffs. We got beat by Albion Rovers in the final of the playoffs, which was disappointing to us, because I felt we'd done really, really well. We played Queen's Park in the 2 games before that, and we were excellent. We were miles ahead of them and won both games, and won comfortably. Won the first leg against Albion Rovers, and I thought we were looking really good, but we just didn't I'm not saying turn up, but we just didn't manage it against Albion Rovers. We went to Pilnies, but say because of that, It was probably the high because it went through the situations before regarding when I took over at the club. But there's 2 or 3 highlights of that. Again, there was probably a potential banana skin when you look at we've played Wigton in a Scottish Cup tie. You'll know as a local boy and the local people, everybody always says that there's plenty of locals here that's good enough and should have been good enough to play against or for the first team or getting into the first team. And at that time, Mickey Dugan had a really good Wigton team of players that played. Some of them played with the first team a couple of years before that and had done really well, but unfortunately things didn't work out that way. But Mickey had a really good team, and we were due to play him in the Scottish Cup, and you're like that. Oh, this could be a tough one for us. But we prepared right for it. We came down. Hamilton Milne at the North West Castle always gave us a pre-match meal before home game, so I phoned them up and asked them if we would still do it for the Wigton game, because we wanted to treat them with respect. We didn't want to just come down the bus and turn up and that was it. We came down and prepared right, and that showed we wanted to how much we wanted to win that game, because as I say, I didn't want the thing of the club being beat by a South of Scotland team, and especially one that had as many local players playing in it. And we went to the game, and first 10-15 minutes we got a penalty and we miss a penalty, and you say, oh my God, here we go. This is it's going to be one of these days. But we ended up with one it comfortable, we won 9-0. But as I say, it's a terrible thing when you're looking at which are high as a manager, and sometimes you think of some big games and all that. But as I say, for me personally, that game, I took a lot out of that game because we went there and done that job, because as I say, we could have got a lot of stick because of that. But as I say, it was a short career as a manager, and didn't really have a great deal of highs. It was always, you were always fighting for everything, and but the playoffs and that cup game would probably be the 2 highlights as a manager. Okay, right.
One letter and 2 numbers. Go on, Sean. Oh, yours? Yeah, fair kick, boys! Go on, Sean. Go on, Sean. Get long. Yeah! Keep it coming. Go on, Stage. Yes. Yeah. Take it, Tiff. Two now up and missed the penalty. Okay, Bob, see you, boy. 2-0. 3-0 now. 3-0. Go back. Well done. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Well done. Some save. You look at it much more weight for it. Get back into fitness. He's ready. Yes. Yes. Oh, yes.
Great last time.
Actually, he's fun about. Yes. Oh. Yes. Oh. He's defending. Well done, Carl. Yes. We do get the ball. He's like a gamer there. Never off. Oh.
Do you have any funny football stories?
Ryan, funny moments, funny stories. I could tell you a few. All football players can tell you stories, but there is quite a few that unfortunately I'll be able to tell you. I'll try my best. I've got quite a few that I can tell you. A couple of them that happened to myself when I played with St. Well, the first one we played with St. We played in Dunfermline at Stair Park, and we got a corner down in the coo shed end of the turnstiles. I goes over to take the corner, steps up, whacks the corner flag. The people at the Stair Park, in them days, the corner flags weren't just a bit of pipe, they were solid wood. And I near broke my ankle kicking the corner flag, and everybody in the whole ground burst out laughing apart from me because I was in tears because I near broke my ankle. Didn't even kick the ball, I kicked the corner flag, and as I say, everybody in the whole ground knew about it, and they got a bit of stick over that one. So that was one. Another one was we played Meadowbank. Meadowbank Thistle played at Meadowbank Stadium in Edinburgh, and again I was captain, and went out, doing the warm-up, come back in, referee, right, come on, let's go out on the park. So off we go, and anybody that's been to Meadowbank or stadium, the running track was round outside of the pitch, so it was miles away for the supporters and the dressing rooms. So out we goes, running across the track. I turned round to say something to one of the players, and then I forgot that running the running track was about 1 inch, 2 inch of metal running right round the edge of the running track. Of course, I turned around to speak to somebody running at the same time, and unfortunately I tripped over it, landed in a heap with 2 or 3 players piling over the top of me as I went over and tripped up running onto the park. So again, everybody sees you, and I got a bit of stick. So that's 2 stories involving me. So that's 2, but another one that's it's hilarious, and it's a terrible thing to say. We signed Big Armandoni. all we did, and we played a away game. I think it was at Montrose. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was Montrose. And our away strip was a red strip, and Big Armand, as you know, is big, but little did we realise we hadn't used this away strip while Armand had been there. But the red strip wasn't the biggest strip in the world. It was smaller than the normal home kit. I don't know why. It was made by the same people, but it was weird. So read the team out, strips are all laid out, Big Armand, and we were across, and he pulled his jersey on, and then he tried to pull a pair of shorts on, and how he got into them, I have no idea. It was, I felt so sorry for him, but everybody we all burst out laughing, because we couldn't do anything else but laugh at him trying to get this strip on, because it was smaller than the rest, and Armand was bigger than everybody else, and he tried and he got this strip on, and he went by us in the dressing room, and he was raging. He was absolutely telling us, look, I'm not going to play, I'm not going to wear this. We said to him, look, we'll send to the sports shop and see if we can get a red pair of shorts to try and help you out. But he went out. Oh, it's terrible to laugh at him. And he went out and he tried to run about in this strip. And we eventually, I think we got a pair of shorts for him and came back and we got them on. And we had to end up changing that strip to get another strip, or just a number. We had to get the biggest strip we possibly could, put number 7 on it for Armand, and change the shorts to a different thing, because it was you had to be there to see it. It was hilarious. So I felt sorry for Big Armand, but yeah, the big man was A1 about it, because after it he just laughed, and that's what Big Armand done. So that's another story for you. And another one I tell quite a lot for my Clyde colleagues and all that, when I meet up with Clyde. We done a pre-season. We always went away for pre-season, Clyde. Every year I was there, we always went away somewhere for pre-season, away for 3 or 4 days. And big mate Jim Thompson was always my roommate. So again, as we always did, we went away, I was rooming with him, so we went out, played the game Saturday night, a right good bevy, back to my room, mine and Jim's room, and the other 2 players, I'll not name the other 2 players. So back to go to my room, a good drink in us, right, we're going to play cards. So we get the cards out with the drink in us, everybody, right, fine, cards out. And the first person that falls asleep is going to get shaved. So everybody's like, right, okay, aye, no bother. So we starts playing cards. A couple of hours later, big Jim Thompson, sleeping. So I'm like, here we go. We said we'd shave him. So I get the razor out. Big Jim's lying there sleeping, as I say. Big Jim had a tight afro, really, really tight afro. Big black eyebrows, sideburns, right all the way done. So I'm like, right, I'll fix you, Big Jim, here we go. So first one, across the middle of his sideburn. Big Jim never moved. Oh, happy days, here we go. His eyebrow, right down the middle of one eyebrow. Big Jim still never moved. Oh, right, let's go. Other one, down. Big Jim kind of gives a wee bit shake about, turns over on the other side. Whoosh, across the other side, and his sideburn. So that's fine. Big Jim again, he just gives a rumble about and rolls over on his front. Oh, right, here we go. I'll fix him now. Big Jim, the razor up the back of his head. Big square out the back of his head. No, as Big Jim still sleeping. So I was going to go right all the way, right across the whole of his head, right through the middle of his head. But the other 2 stopped me from doing it. So we left Big Jim there. So we ended up, finished the cards. Boys left the room the next day. And Big Jim wakens up and he gives the big stretches and things like that, and we at the toilet. And all I heard was, oh, you're a bad person. And that kind of language. So it was, and he'd seen it in the mirror. But unknown to Big Jim, as I say, he only seen the eyebrows and the sideburn and things like that. So the next day we went and played another game. Nobody told him anything about the rest. So we played the game and travelled back home. Well, it was the next thing I got a phone call an hour later after he'd arrived home, and he called me a few different things. But little did he realise that we'd cut the big square out the back of his head with his tight afro, and it wasn't until he got home till his mother said to him, "What happened to you?" He says, "I fell asleep playing cards," and Knox shaved the eyebrows and the sideburns and all that. She says, "What about the back of your head?" He says, "What do you mean?" So she got the mirror and put it in the back of his head, and there it was, a big square at the back of the head. Oh, and he went ballistic. And he didn't, with the team photo, I think it was a week after that, and Big Jim, and all the time he was there, it was the only team photo he ever missed, because he didn't want to go on with this, his bit out his eyebrows and his sideburns, and his hair was his pride and joy. That was what it was always immaculate. But no, Big Jim fell asleep, and silly boy. That's a lesson for some young boys, Ryan. If you go on a away trip, never fall asleep. If somebody threatens you to shave you, never fall asleep. Cheers. But that's it, Ryan. I think that's us finished, and I hope that's good for you. And thanks very much for the interview, and I hope you keep safe. And hopefully this coronavirus is over and done with, and we can all get back to training and playing again and watching football. But thanks very much, Ryan. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, Knoxy, for this week's interview. I hope this is the best one yet, and I really appreciate it. Everybody remember to like, subscribe and share. Peace.